Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this last video covering the DNS, we'll be discussing the security in the DNS. So starting off, there are definitely some security threats that are common to the DNS. The first of which is called DNS spoofing, which is where any attacker will be able to pick off or intercept or completely forge a response that would be given to a user from a query they make, and it will send these users to faulty websites that can do some serious damage to your computer. And as we see from this diagram, it gives us a little bit better of an understanding. So we got the client right here, which is going to be us. So let's say we make a request to a website. The attacker will come in to the DNS server, inject a fake entry, which is going to take the request to our website and completely resolve the query to a fake website versus going to the real website right here. So this is not good because the attacker will be able to could steal information from us, or they could install viruses on our computer and really just set us up for disaster. And this is not good because it's a big threat to the security because you never know what that attacker can be able to get from you. So the next type of security threat is called cache poisoning, which is where an attacker will place a faulty record into a resolver's cache, and a resolver is just what it's called when you're making a query from your web cache, which is where all of the queries that you've previously visited are stored. And because it's a faulty record, this will give you incorrect results when you make a query because it's a faulty record and it's not going to show up what you want it to. So an example here, let's say the client asks for what's the IP for this website, example.com. It contacts the DNS server. But as we see here, the DNS server will contact the authoritative name server that's associated with the website. If you watch my video on the DNS hierarchy, I went over the different types of servers, authoritative being one of them. The authoritative name server will give us the correct IP, but if you look here, the attacker will say, hey, I am actually the authoritative server, and the IP address 192.0.0.17 is different from the one here, which is 192.0.0.16. So that attacker is actually going to give us a faulty IP address, which is going to get us to a website that we don't want to go and get us to a result that we don't care about, because we're looking to get to example.com. But the attacker will give us a faulty injection and a faulty IP address and poison our cache. So when we look up something from our web cache, it will give us a result that is completely incorrect and not what we're looking for. And this can also do some serious damage to the computer because the attacker could steal some personal information from you and get access to your computer and get access to things that are most likely going to be confidential to you. So this is something that you definitely have to watch out for. So the last type of threat is called the DDoS attack, or DOS attack, which stands for denial of service and distributed denial of service. So what this is where a DNS server will be flooded with bogus traffic that is not legit at all. It's like if we were to visit a server, it's legitimate traffic because it's just a basic query that we're making in the DNS. But what happens here is that there will be a bunch of bogus traffic from attackers that will make a ton of queries, and by a ton, it could be millions, billions, trillions. And this is going to make servers unresponsive because you just simply will be overloaded with queries that nobody else that's legitimate that actually wants to visit the website will be able to visit it. This is unsuccessful as of right now, but as we see from this diagram, here are two legit clients, which would be you or me. But there are a bunch of computers here that are acting as clients, but they're actually attackers making an overload of queries to whatever server we want to get to. And this could be the root server, this could be the TLD server, this could be the authoritative server. The list goes on because you really could do this to any types of server that you really want to, because you could really do this to any type of server because it's just a matter of being able to flood it with traffic. But as of right now, being able to flood a TLD server completely, because it deals with an entire section of URLs. You have one for .com, one for .gov, one for .org, one for .edu. The list goes on. Because this is such a big server, it's been unsuccessful because these have extremely high resilience, because if they were to be shut down entirely, any website that would pertain to those type of URL, so let's say youtube.com, anything that ends with .com, every single website would be shut down. So let's say edu got shut down, an edu TLD server. Any website that ends in edu, cuchicago.edu, nyu.edu, umass.edu, every single one of them would be shut down. And this goes for all of them. So because of how big they are and how distributed it is among authoritative servers, it's very hard to do this and carry this out, but it is definitely a possibility. It's a lot easier to be able to carry a DDoS attack out on a Authoritative server, since that's a server that pertains specifically to a company, which is only that server. So let's say they wanted to attack cuchicago.edu. Only that website would be attacked. No other edu websites would be attacked. Like UIC, NYU.edu, UMass.edu, anything else, it would only be the cuchicago.edu website that would be shut down. So there's some security enhancements that are in the DNS. One of them is called DNSSEC, and this uses public key cryptography and digital signatures that are associated with legitimate websites. And anytime we make a query, our resolver is going to be able to validate this and make sure that it matches up correctly with what is stored in the DNS so that these attacks cannot be carried out, like your DNS spoofing, your DNS cache poisoning, your DDoS attacks. But however, one thing that's key to note about the DNS is that there is no encryption used. So there can be some eavesdropping from these attackers that could happen, but it's like I said, it's very difficult because these servers are so big and they're so distributed among authoritative servers that are smaller servers that make them up. It's going to be very hard to take these down, and they have very high resilience. There are different mitigation techniques to also be able to counter these threats directly. One is called rate limiting, and all that is, it just controls the amount of queries you're able to make from an IP address. Another one is called anycast routing, which is just going to be able to distribute traffic across multiple locations to enhance defense. And then the last one is called an RPZ, or response policy zone, and this is just going to be able to allow us to have custom filters that's going to be able to block these types of malicious attacks. So that covers everything about security in the DNS. So let's go over a quiz question for this section. What is one common security threat to the DNS? We have SQL injection, package sniffing, DNS spoofing, or internet lag. So based on the ones we went over, the answer will be DNS spoofing because that is the only one. Package sniffing is more the internet and the basics of networking. SQL injection really doesn't have anything to do with this, and SQL is going to shut down your database versus anything else. And lagging is really not a security threat. It's just going to be that it's running slower. So the only option here really is going to be DNS spoofing, which we went directly over. So thank you very much for watching. I hope these series of videos on the DNS were very informative for you, and I hope you guys learned something new. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.